This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a beautiful start to the day. We have a bit of mist, we have some sunshine coming through that mist, and it is absolutely atmospheric this morning. And it looks like it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful day for a game drive and, well, everything else that we can find. So hopefully we'll find some animals. Does the Zoom stop working, Morgan?
For a second, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. After a winning start. I feel like it's you and I. We broke Rusty yesterday and we've been windy for 2 minutes and we've already broken it. Anyway, my name is Tristan. On camera, I've got Morgan. And today I've got a very special guest. I've got Simon with us this morning. Hello,
Yes,
Simon.
hello, everybody. My name is Simone, and I live with my family in Somerset West, near Cape Town.
Yeah.
And today I expect the unexpected, but will be very happy and grateful to see what we get.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we'll get some cool stuff. Simon would like to see Marips or basically any of our leopard characters, so we're going to try and see if we can find some of them. So it's lovely to have you on board. I hope that we'll have a fun time.
Thank you.
So you'll have to.
Thank you to Morgan.
Yeah, well, you don't have to thank him yet. You haven't known him long enough yet to thank him. You might be at the end of the drive not wanting to thank him at all.
I agree on that.
Yeah, Morgan agrees as well. He's all over the place. So we'll see how it goes. No, I'm joking. Morgan's a lovely fellow, so I'm sure we'll have a good time. So a lot of the viewers are saying welcome to you. They hope that you're going to have a good morning. Now, remember, everyone, we are coming to you live, so we would love to hear from all of you. If you have any questions for Simone, or you have any questions for us, you can send them through to #WildEarth on Twitter, @FC on the YouTube chat stream, on any of the comment sections of the various platforms we stream to. And kiddies, we always love to hear from you, so you can send your questions to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Now, the plan for the morning is as I was saying, someone would like to see Reeps, but any of the other leopards will do. So what we're going to do is we're going to start close to Leopard Dam. There was a leopard that drank here at about midnight that had quite a full belly. No one really got an ID on it. Unfortunately, the dam cam didn't focus really nicely, and so it was quite tricky to see who it was. But they were saying full bellied, so you never know. Full bellied and walking to water and then going back a similar way that it came could potentially mean there's a kill nearby. So I want to just go and check and see whether or not we get lucky and find that. Failing that, we're then going to slowly start to head eastwards in the hope that we can catch up with little Marips. He was seen yesterday evening around First Rock on Torchwood, but signal there is a little dicey, and obviously we have limited feeds, and the fact that Tessa's going to be on the dam cam and Mike will be at Pardon, so we'll see how we can go. But isn't that spectacular? What a beautiful morning. All right, talking about spectacular and beautiful, it's that time of the day to send you across to see what our weather will be for the remainder of our morning drive.
Good morning and welcome. I am sitting on the dam cam with a beautiful African fish eagle. My name is Tessa. I'm going to be your guide for the camera this morning at the dam. And it seems as though it is a beautiful morning out there. This fish eagle has been perched on this branch for quite a while, and it looks as though it is waiting to start catching some fish this morning. You can hear there's a lot of birds active this morning. And it is quite a beautiful day. The sun is shining, there's still a little bit of mist out and about. and a lot of bird activity. There goes the fish eagle. Spotted a wild Tristan on dam cam. So it's definitely going to be a nice hot day today. When the mist has started in the mornings and the sun is shining, then you know we're in for a very, very hot day. And I think the dam is going to be quite busy this morning. You can see that mist is coming all the way down from that crest behind the dam. Alright, so while I have a look what else is on the dam cam this morning, let's go over to Mike to say good morning.
Such a beautiful morning that I was inspired to high art. Something inside of me just told me that this needed to be done, and I have created a masterpiece. And I'll show you exactly what this masterpiece represents. A beautiful and gorgeous African sunrise. I mean, how can this not inspire you to beautiful pieces of art? Hi everyone, my name's Mike Anderson, behind the camera is BK, and this is Eco Training's Pridelands Conservancy, where not only do we show you beautiful natural areas and wildlife natural history, but we also show you how to create fantastic art pieces with naught but a few sticks and some grass. And it's going to be a wonderful morning, I think. We are here close to Leopard Dam, and we're going to spend the morning around this area, hopefully finding some cool stuff. It's going to be hot today. It's cool at the moment, as you can see. I'm wearing my kakoi, but it's going to be piping hot a bit later this morning. And so I believe that we'll have some action this morning at Leopard Dam. It's quite quiet at the moment, though. Lots of birds calling. I don't think you can hear them, unfortunately, but there are lots of birds calling. Chinspot batters, grey go-away birds, fork-tailed drongos, black-headed orioles. Oh, it's wonderfully full this morning. As you can see, very still, very calm. And the golden light just playing across the landscape. I mean, what more could there possibly be? Let's go and see if we can find something at the dam. The dam is this way. Let's go and see what we can find this morning. Now, I hope that you are all enjoying your morning. Oh, Gina, thank you so much. I think it was actually. You can take screenshots. Please don't forget to tag me on this masterpiece that has been created this morning. Thank you very much, Gina. I appreciate that. But it honestly does pale in comparison to what we have out here. It's very dry at the moment, the bush. Very dry. But there's something about it which just feels like it's on edge, like it's poised to explode into life as soon as these first rains come, which I can feel brewing. I think it's just a few more days until we get our first rain. I can feel it. I can feel it. You can see the dam for now. Just the first few green trees there. Nothing that I can see at the dam at the moment. But now I must just bring our voices down. We're about 100 meters away from the dam. But that's not to say that there can't be something that is approaching the dam or at the dam. Wait, hold on. Stop there, BK. I see something. Ah, the stump. It's a leopard log. Just a fallen bush. But I'm sure that this morning, with the nice still weather, the bright night we had, it was quite cool. I'm sure there's going to be something coming to the dam this morning. And when there is, we will let you know.
So there is a beautiful grey heron sitting right on top of a dead tree at the dam. And it's definitely the time of the morning for preening. You can see the sun is just hitting its chest. And so I'm sure it's right on top there just to try and warm up. So early in the morning is a great time for all birds to make sure that their feathers are preened. They're all straight and in order. And you can hear it's a very, very active morning for birds this morning. So this seems to be a resident grey heron. And it's actually looking really, really beautiful as the light is now starting to hit it. Very flexible neck, a massive part of this bird's success. Let's just take in the scene a little bit and listen to some of the other bird sounds filtering through as well. Absolutely beautiful to have this mist rolling in behind such a gorgeous heron.
Well, we found tracks already for a leopard. I'm just trying to work out which way he's gone. Here we go. He's come straight down. The track doesn't look like Mulawati. It looks maybe a little too small for him, but I might be wrong. It's kind of close enough that it's a big male leopard, but whether it's him, it doesn't look quite big enough for him though. He's got the biggest feet on the property, so his tracks are pretty impressive. But it's the same leopard, I'm sure, that was drinking. It comes straight from the dam there and is heading eastwards at the moment, towards sort of central, that area. So I just want to check very carefully here in case. We know that that leopard was a while ago, so it was at about midnight, so kind of 6 hours behind, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I promise you it's a lot when it comes to a leopard. You can imagine a leopard that walks for 4 or 5 hours, how much ground it will end up covering in order to kind of patrol its territory. And if it's a young male, just wander and try and see what's around. They can move big distances. Sometimes they don't go far at all, but sometimes they can end up moving quickly, especially if it's a territorial individual. Then they tend to cover ground a lot more. Just want to check up here if he didn't cut into one of these drainages or if he kept going. No, he's still going straight on the road. I wonder who this could be, because like I said, the footage was also inconclusive of this individual, so it's not like we have an exact ID. And the problem is with the likes of Shasha and even Mulawatis, we don't fully understand their roots, so it makes it harder. You're asking how big is an average leopard? That's really very, very, very dependent on where you're talking. So geographically, that will change So leopard here in this part of the world, because we're in a part that is mixed with savanna, lots of prey animals, the leopards here tend to get very big. So the average leopard here in males wise would be probably about 80 kilograms. So what's that? Like 180 pounds, somewhere there. There's a little Ngala. Stop and just have a look at that Ngala. That leopard's cut off southwards here. So you're looking at about 80 kilograms on the male side. On the female side, about 40 to 50 kilograms on the average here. But if you go into a place like the Cape, where you get the little Cape leopards, those leopards can be much, 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 much smaller. With the females' average weight around 20 kilograms, so almost half the size, and the males around 50. So it really just depends geographically where you are as to what averages you're talking. But if we're here basically in the Sabi sands, then we're looking at around sort of 80 kilograms for the males and about 40 to 50 for the females. Beautiful light this morning though with that mist, and then especially on an animal like a Ngala that's got that furry little coat at the back, it just grabs that light on the edge and makes for a beautiful, beautiful kind of backlit subject. So say 50, you love the golden mist. It is pretty, isn't it? Simon, do you like Ngala, by the way?
Yes.
What's your favorite antelope?
The favorite antelope is a kudu.
Kudu?
Yes, a kudu.
Okay, so same family. And you like the one with the male with the horns?
Yes.
Yeah, they are very, very impressive. Here comes our Ngala onto the road. Little female. They're such pretty animals. Like I say, this morning light is just spectacular.
The last stretch of the Ngala is the last stretch coming forward. Please remember.
There's people on the radio, so just turn them down. It's strange though that she's by herself. Generally, no, there's more over there. I was about to say, generally Ngala females are in small little groups together, small little family units. So females and their offspring. And I was thinking it's quite odd that it's just her by herself, but actually the other ones are just off to the side. But our leopard is cut southwards by the looks of things, going down towards sort of Vulture's Nest, Spaghetti Junction area. So I'll just turn. I don't think it's on a kill now. The tracks don't indicate that. When we're looking, there's an Impala ram that thinks he's a Ngala. The tracks when you have a leopard on a kill will go from kill to water, from water back to kill. So they walk basically over the top of themselves, or at least very close to. This track, we've got a track coming from the north going to the dam yesterday, which we know was Mulamati drinking the night before. And then this track now comes back, but in a different direction. So that normally indicates different animal, or at least not on a kill and not stationary. This is an animal that's now moving through. So we'll just go around and check the next road and see if the tracks come out. It looks like they've gone towards Vulture's Nest side, and we'll see if maybe we can get lucky and pick them up. Oh, beautiful morning though. I love misty mornings. It's one of my favorite things out here. A still misty morning is gold, and they're going to be in few and far between now because the temperatures are going to slowly increase, and so your chances of mist is going to come less and less and less until we go into next year's winter once again. This leopard definitely cut off. Alrighty, I'm going to just go along here and we're going to turn and just check if those tracks come out. In the meantime though, Mike is out and about on Pridelands and is wanting to say good morning.
We sure are, and at the dam we've just arrived. These pair of Egyptian goose very vocally announcing their arrival at the dam. Both the male and the female, very difficult to tell the two apart, to be honest. I think one of them has a deeper voice. The male probably has a deeper voice, and it's probably a little bit more colorful. So if by that logic it must be the one that's closer to us that would be the male, because it does look a bit more colorful. Anyway, now all is settled. They just announced themselves No, they're pretty relaxed, which is good. Hopefully going to be having some goslings soon. Claiming their spot in the middle of the dam. That log is new. Not like right now new, but new since last season. It wasn't exactly there as far as I can remember. Oh, leopard lover. What animals will return to Pridelands after the rains? Well, I'm hoping, beyond all hope, that my good friend Kumo, the elephant, comes back, because I haven't seen him in a long time. And Limpy, of course, Limpy the elephant. Perhaps they are somewhere very far away, kind of trapped at a water source or a good feeding area and don't want to take the long and arduous journey. Young male elephants can travel huge distances in order to find good mating opportunities and all those other things, and food and water. So I hope those two elephants come back and their crew of about 8 bull elephants. Probably as the rain starts falling, we'll see a lot of movement of the predators, lions, leopards, and possibly even hyenas, because as the rain falls, their scent marks are going to be washed away. And so when their scent marks are washed away, they'll need to re-mark their territory boundaries. Susan as well might come back. Goodness gracious me, I hope she's mellowed in her older age, because she was a feisty elephant. Actually, do miss Susan. She used to do the craziest things. She used to do handstands, and she used to do downwards facing dog, and she used to do all these yoga poses, in front of the vehicle. She was really showing off. It was actually a bit nerve-wracking, because I've never seen an elephant do those kind of things, tusking the ground and throwing stuff at us. She was really feisty. She did seem to calm down towards the last few times I saw her, but she loves this dam, and we haven't seen her for a while, so yes, absolutely they might come back. The elephants' home ranges have probably extended quite a lot during the dry season because they need more food, or they need to travel further to find the food. So perhaps once it starts raining, they'll move back into their core home range. The home ranges will become smaller and maybe more localized onto Pridelands again, which would be great. Susan. Oh, look at the beautiful colors on that Egyptian goose's wings as it stretches and preens itself. Probably been sitting on a dead tree somewhere nearby the whole night. And now just flown here. It's time to stretch the muscles, loosen everything. Oh, wow. It's actually very beautiful birds. Just enjoying the quiet a little bit. Now all we need is... So last night at... What was that? Some strange animal just made a noise in the background. Did you hear that? I don't know what that was. Maybe if we sit quietly, it might do it again. No, whatever it was, it's stopped now. But yesterday, so we're at Leopard Dam now, at Ndlovu Dam, right by the eco-training camp. Last night at about 6:30, a leopard came to drink at the waterhole. Remember I said yesterday, I feel like it's going to be a leopard at the waterhole once it gets dark, and it certainly was. Don't know which leopard. I didn't see it. The students all saw it. And then a male lion, a bit later that evening at about 8 o'clock, came to drink. So there was elephants, there were buffaloes, leopard and lion were at the waterhole last night, or yesterday evening. Spectacular. Which means that you must all definitely sign up to the WildEarth Explorers and win the Pridelands prize. Come spend a few nights with us.
Free diving is the purest way to experience the great African sea forest. Silently gliding through the long kelp fronds allows you to reconnect with nature and explore this enchanted world. Sea Forest is a brand new daily experience coming soon on the WildEarth channel. You will explore an underwater forest live from Cape Town, while a team of naturalists explain what we are seeing.
Like trees in a forest, these kelp provide food and shelter for many, many species.
Magical encounters with shy marine life, crustaceans, sharks, seals, and so much more will all bring a window of calm into an otherwise chaotic world.
Being nominated to the top 5 and finally being here, for me, it's an achievement. Tracks, I believe I did quite well, and the walk.
And sometimes you often drag their feet forward.
The storytelling as well. So yeah, I think that's where I see my strongest point.
And then, that was the opportunity of the scraping.
I say the bedding and the call, definitely, for me, it was quite a big challenge. Guiding is not all about the award that we have had, but in sharing the experience and continue to do what we have passion and love.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
It's definitely a calm morning. Still a heron sitting up on the tree, and you can see very, very calm on the water this morning. Every now and then there seems to be a hippo that pops up. At the moment it looks to be underwater, but the mist is definitely burning off. And the heron is still very, very relaxed up on the tree. It's done with its preening now, it seems. Looking as though it might want to fly every now and then. And I think it's definitely also watching out at the water's edge. From up there, it's got a really good vantage point to see any potential prey that might be on the floor or at the foot of the dam, just on the edges. So I'm sure this heron is definitely enjoying that sunlight that's now hitting its feathers properly. And definitely burning the mist off this morning. It's really starting to clear up beautifully. You can see the birds are very active and awake. It was a lovely and warm night last night. Mandy, grey herons should be monogamous, although that one seems to have decided that was the wrong answer and flown off. Most of the larger birds like that are predators, they will be monogamous. But I will definitely check that for you while I'm scanning the dam to see where it may have flown to. So what normally happens is they can actually nest in colonies. And so with the breeding season, you might find quite a few different grey herons nesting in the same area, but they should be in a pair that they stick to. There's the hippo, just a piece of it sticking out, it seems. And here there are quite a lot of other birds that are active as well. So it is a beautiful morning to be here. Oh, there's a kingfisher that just dove down there. Kind of just saw the ripples. Frog notes, birds of prey will prey on anything that they feel is a worthy meal. So if it's a really big bird of prey, maybe something like a martial eagle, maybe something even, like a rose eagle owl, they would definitely prey on heron chicks. An adult heron would be quite difficult to take down, but I think it would also depend on the individual situation. You can have pretty much anything happen when you're a bird of prey, and so if the opportunity is there, I'm sure one of the bigger eagles, like a martial eagle, would try and take down a heron. So the hippo is definitely only coming up every now and then. And I think that's probably because it's still quite cool outside, so it's warmer for the hippo in the water than it is out of the water. It does seem to be the only hippo here this morning, the resident one. But it is a beautiful morning. You can see there's not a cloud in the sky this morning. I think, especially on a day like today, where we've had the mist this morning, which shows it's going to be a very, very hot day, I think the dam is the best place to visit actually quite early in the morning, before it gets too hot. You might see a lot of animals coming down here. And that's to make sure that they're not out in the open sun during the hottest time of the day, unless they absolutely have to be. So now that the mist has started burning off and it started getting a little bit warmer, I think over the next hour or two, there's going to be a lot of activity coming past all the dams and water holes. And then towards the middle of the day, when it is going to be very, very hot, I think it'll actually be quite quiet while animals are conserving their energy in the shade. So while we have a look and see what comes down to the dam, let's have a look at an upcoming fireside chat happening this Sunday, the 26th of September.
As WildEarth has shown, a guide is critical to your enjoyment when on safari. Safari Guide of the Year is an annual event which creates awareness for these men and women who dedicate their lives to tourism and wildlife. WildEarth fully supports this initiative that gives more credit to a profession that drives our economy and flies South African flags higher than most. In the lead up to our live award ceremony, where the Safari Guide of the Year 2021 will be crowned, we are inviting all our viewers to join us for a special fireside chat. Open to everyone, this unique event invites some of the top guides in the country to Djuma on the 26th of September, straight after the Sunset Safari.
Well, we haven't found our spotted cats, but we have found a beautiful giraffe that is trying its very best to hide. It's reminiscent of our kudu yesterday, Morgan. Everything is in front of said giraffe. You can actually see how well they blend in. I mean, if that giraffe was not moving and was just dead stationary, it would be a little tricky to pick it up. I mean, you would see it, but it's not as sort of clear as everyone thinks a giraffe would be. It's blending in quite well. So it's got its purpose in the pattern is to break up the outline, which it's doing absolutely perfectly there. It's having a really good feed. I just want to see which tree it's actually eating off. I think it's a bush willow that it's currently devouring, but I want to just double check. It's in flower, whatever it is, and that's why it's going crazy there. It looks like a bush willow. It's the one that it's eating. It's difficult because there's so many trees growing in amongst each other there. But yeah, bush willow. It's a nice big bull giraffe. It's very, very dark in coloration, which you won't notice right now. But I'm hoping as he kind of feeds and eventually the tree starts to produce enough tannins that it starts to become bitter, that the giraffe will come out and move. I want to see which one it is. We've had a number of giraffe of late, particularly males. I haven't seen actually very many females at all. Lots of big bulls moving around, much like the elephants. It's all the boys are in town. In fact, it's true of most of our animals at the moment. We've had mostly male leopard, male giraffe, male elephant. It seems the girls are avoiding us or avoiding the boys. I don't know which one. There's one of them. You can see though how it's just stripping all of those little flowers off of it, or buds that are probably haven't opened just yet. But at this time of the year, it's going to be super important to utilize any of these little food items. Remember that it's been a long winter, and so, you know, food is, for a big browsing animal like a giraffe, is few and far between. And so they make sure that they find somewhere where they're able to stop, and if there's a food source that is nutritious, take it on and try and gather back some nutrient that they've lost, or condition that they've lost during the drier months. They're lucky that they're ruminants, so they can process whatever they eat really well and get as much out of it as possible. But that doesn't mean that they still don't lose condition in the winter. The animals that are browsers typically have very limited options during that winter period. It's nice when he comes out, a beautiful morning light on that individual. Veronica, no, they don't feed all day like elephants. Very different digestive system. So an elephant has a big vat-like system where it's got to put in a huge amount because it processes very little. So what they eat, they don't digest everything, and that means they have to have a huge amount of space, and so and they also take on a huge amount of vegetation to at least get enough nutrients to power such a large body. So they're big bulk feeders, basically. Whereas these guys are much like impalas in that they have an ability to ruminate. So they have the four-chambered stomach. And ruminating means that they can extract every little bit of nutrients out of the leaf or the food source. So what they do is they'll eat like this early morning, late afternoon, and parts through the day. And then what you'll find is that they'll go somewhere and they'll sit under a tree and they'll regurgitate. So as they're sitting there, they're going to bring up a bolus of food or ball of food that's going to come back into the mouth, and they'll re-chew it. So even though they do spend time feeding, they don't have to spend nearly as much as what an elephant would have to, because even when they're resting, they're still able to regurgitate and re-chew and get nutrient out of what they'd found earlier. So to give you an idea, while an elephant does weigh more than a giraffe, it probably weighs about 5-6 times in a bull giraffe and a bull elephant, food-wise, The difference is staggering. These guys are only eating about 30 kilograms a day, or 70 pounds, whereas an elephant in this time of the year will be eating about 6% of its body weight. So a really big bull elephant, he can be eating close to 350 kilograms, 400 kilograms of food in a single day. So it's a huge difference that you've got in those two animals, and it's because these guys can effectively process what they're taking in, and they can actually extract everything out of it. So they don't need to eat nearly as much to power their body, and to allow their body to grow and to thrive. It's quite useful. But also, the size that they're at, if they had to have the digestive tract of an elephant, it would be silly, because they would be direct competition for one another, and they would outcompete each other. So giraffe is very difficult to monitor in terms of a population. On Djuma itself, they're such transient animals, so they move so much according to food availability. Sometimes you can come to Djuma and you can go, I've had times here where it's been 6, 7, 8 weeks without seeing a single giraffe on the property, not even a track for them. And then other times it's like now, where literally it seems like you drive a road and there's a giraffe, you drive another road, there's another giraffe. So it fluctuates all the time, and almost every single day is going up and down. At the moment, though, it seems pretty good. It seems like we've got a number of giraffe on the property, but I wouldn't say like crazy numbers. We're not talking 100 or something like that. We're talking probably only in the vicinity of 20 animals on the Djuma property itself. So not our entire traverse, but just on Djuma. And so not huge groups, because we've mostly got males at the moment that are together rather than herds. All right, so we're going to leave our giraffe, well, rather the giraffe is leaving us, and see if we can't find where this leopard has gone.
So I am watching where the hippo has been coming up and down at the dam. There you can just see the nostrils sticking out. It's actually very, very cool. As the hippo comes up to breathe, you can actually still see the hot air coming out. So I'm hoping that we get to see that. But it's just beautiful to see how calm the dam is. The surface is not moving unless the hippo moves or an insect moves, maybe a little fish under the water. You can hear some hornbills talking to each other in the background. And still quite a lot of bird activity. Absolutely beautiful morning at the dam. You can see it's incredibly calm. A lot of birds hopping around, especially near the water's edge. Blacksmith lapwing walking along as well. Really, really fantastic morning for bird watching.
Little tiny cocktail ants sitting on a flower bud from a Combretum herreraense, which is a russet bushwiller. And these little guys, it's not easy to see, but you can just about see the little stingers coming out of their abdomens. I was looking very closely at them before, and I saw them cocking their tails, as cocktail ants do, in a warning gesture. And then on the tip of the tail, I think it's called a gaster, G-A-S-T-E-R, which is pushed out like that one is doing there in the middle of the screen. The gaster is pushed out, the little stinger, and it sprays a small, tiny amount of acid. That is what creates the irritation that we feel when we disturb a cocktail ant. Now, they can't sting with that tiny little stinger, because it's just far too small to actually pierce our skin, but they can spray that little bit of acid. And now if I really harass them, which I'm not going to, you might just see a droplet of that acid forming on the tip of its tail. That's so awesome. From the side here, I can actually see that little stinger poking out with the backlight, but it's really difficult to catch on camera because it's so incredibly tiny. But yeah, they are busy feasting on the honeydew that is being produced by tiny little aphids that are around this flower bud. The aphids are not good for the flower. The aphids will kill it if there's too many of them. And of course, the number of aphids rises sharply when they are under the protection of these ants, because they will not be consumed by small predators. Other predatory insects will stay away from these very aggressive ants. These are not the most aggressive of the ants, though. The most aggressive ants are called pugnacious ants, which there are, so far this season, I haven't seen them. However, when they do arrive, it basically means the end of comfortable bushwalking, because those things literally follow your footsteps. If you take a footstep, ants just like these little pugnacious ants will race up your feet and into your legs, and oh my goodness, it's uncomfortable. Hearing elephants in the far distance. Haven't seen any yet. Come have a look at this flower bud here, Beaks. It's really cool. I love looking at the small stuff, Lisa. I mean, it's always spectacular. It's why we do what we do, and it's why I love the bushwalks far more than I enjoy. Well, I love drives because I get to see cool stuff like leopards and lions all the time and take great photos of them. But bushwalks, you really get down to the nitty-gritty of stuff that you don't often see. Just looking at this flower here and how beautifully intricate it is. It's so tiny. How can something so tiny be so perfect? You ever looked at an insect or a tiny lizard or a tiny, tiny frog, like a baby lizard or a tiny frog? How perfectly formed they are, and the function is just absolutely spot on. Nature, you beautiful. And these will be very specifically pollinated by small insects that will be able to fly in there, touching all these hairy filaments, collecting pollen and transferring it to the next flower. Now, some trees have both male and female flowers, and some trees have only one or the other. I'm not sure about the bush willows. I suspect they've probably got both, because I mean, you see fruits on basically every bush willow tree, so I suspect they are having both sexes. The dam is still quiet. Just starting to search around and see what else there is. I think we have a lot of insect activity this morning. We've already seen some of these ants and the beautiful flowers. Megan, you are so right. Miniature perfection, absolutely spot on. Nothing is not perfect in nature, and even those things that are not perfect still have a good function. They become food for other things, helping to buoy the system, keep the system running perfectly. Without all those intricate parts, a whole system can collapse. So just think of, for example, African wild dogs, like African hunting dogs, which I hope we get to see at some point on a bushwalk. That would be great. People used to think they are pests because they're just very efficient hunters. They take out hundreds of impala, let's say, in an area over a year, hundreds. And they used to be horribly persecuted. People used to hunt them out because they thought, we don't need these things, they are decimating populations. But in actual fact, they are targeting the weakest individuals, those that couldn't run fast, those that were sick, those that were old. And by doing that, they kept the rest of the populations in an extremely high state of health, which means that their overall success was much higher. And I hope someone else's success is high this morning. I'll send you over to Tristan.
hope so too, Mike. We haven't found any further signs, and where that leopard cutoff is, it's not a big block, but it's not small either. I couldn't really find anything, and without being able to track on foot to go and check, it's going to be very, very, very difficult. I mean, I've done the block and driven where I can't find anything coming out of there, so maybe he's just lying somewhere in that section. Might go out after drive this morning if we don't find anything. Go and have a little walk after the rugby, of course. There's a big rugby game this morning at 9 o'clock. Yes, don't worry, Morgan. Panic not. I've got this. Morgan was getting a little panicked that we might miss the rugby this morning. It's not going to happen. We will be able to pick it up. Twitter pated. Oh, sorry, I don't know. I might have butchered that completely, but Morgan and I are both scratching our heads. But anyway, you're asking, is Mulawati's track bigger than Tingana's? Yeah, I think it might be actually. Twitter pated, okay. Might be actually bigger. Difficult to say because, you know, it's been a while since I've seen Tingana's tracks. So, you know, Mulawati's is definitely the biggest that we're seeing at the moment, and his feet just seem that much bigger than Tingana's track from what I can remember. It's pretty sad actually that Tingana's track is not in the forefront of our memories, and it's just because I haven't seen it in a while. And I always struggle with this, you know, what's the size of the tracks, because you can see a track and the substrate will change the size a little bit, the way it looks will be slightly different in every time. So unless you get both males walking in exactly the same place at a similar time, and then you measure them on the same substrate, you're not really going to have an accurate reading on how big each male's track is. So, you know, that's the thing, is it's always can be very subjective rather than objective. So you'd have to measure them out and then check and see. But yeah, I would say probably Mulawati is bigger in terms of track size, not in terms of actual dimensions of animal. Tingana in his heyday, I think, was actually a bigger cat than Mulawati, but it would be close. It wouldn't be as far apart as people might think. The same with Anderson and Tingana. Everyone always just was like, Anderson is massive, Tingana's not that big. And then you actually saw them side by side and you realize how big Tingana was. He wasn't a small cat at all. They were very, very close in size. It's just that Anderson had more presence about him and a big head and big neck and quite large feet as well. So it gave this illusion that he was monstrously bigger than Tingana, when in actual fact it was pretty close. All right, there's no further tracks that we've seen. We're on Cheetah Cutline at the moment. The track was heading generally east, so I'm just going to check down a little bit, and then if nothing here, we'll cut quickly in towards First Rock, Leopard Dam area, see if maybe Marief's is being, well, Marief's and moving about all over the place. Also don't want to break Morgan and Marief's up. We didn't let them have their afternoon together, so, you know, want to go back there and just let them have a bit of band practice. We should have invited him to the dam cam, actually. We should have said to him, come sit in FC with us. We have an aircon, we have, you know, comfortable couch. I think he would have loved it in there. Well spotted, Simon. An elephant, Morgan. Very nice. Okay, let me reposition here. I'm just trying to think where I'm going to go. I don't want to drive on the fire break in this area. Sorry, Morgan, let me just go forward. Well spotted. There should be like a little track that goes in. Yeah, here it is. There's more coming. Yeah. So one has managed to find a whole bunch of ellies for us. Looks like young bulls, most of them. For now, I don't see any. Oh, there's a cow in front here as well. The light is not pretty anymore like it was earlier. It was, you know, beautiful. Now it's getting quite harsh behind these ellies, so we're just going to let them come forward and then we'll kind of bend round. I'm sure they're going to slow down on the fire break. Lots of little green leaves have come out here, so perfect place for them to feed. And the elephants last night actually were naughty beyond naughty. They broke in firstly into our area. So we have, they have an elephant fence that goes around where the WildEarth camp is, called DRC. So we closed all that off, and they broke the fence there, and destroyed all kinds of things inside camp. Then from there they went to Tumbeta, and they destroyed Tumbeta's gate and fence, and then destroyed the whole camp on the inside as well. Simone was telling me last night that she had an elephant outside her window, didn't you?
Yes.
It was nice.
Yeah, very close.
Very close. Nice. Eddie wants to know, Simone, if this is your first time in the Sabi Sands.
No, it's the second time in Sabi Sands. After 15 years again, we are here to see behind the scenes of WildEarth and to see how it works.
Okay. So 15 years ago, and I know because we've had this conversation, you said you were at Mala Mala.
Yeah.
So 3 nights at Mala Mala, which is always very, very nice. But hopefully you'll enjoy yourself here more. Hopefully we'll give
much
you...
more.
Much more.
Much more.
That's a good thing. So hopefully we'll have a good time this morning. And it's not just this morning. Someone will be with Tessa again, I think it's this afternoon or tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm sure you're going to have a good time. Anyway, our Ellies are coming in. It's actually a much bigger herd than I have initially anticipated. That was only a few that we first saw. Sorry, is my head in the way again, Morgan? It's hard to find a decent guide these days, eh? Can't take me anywhere. Well, we know this, Morgan. You tell me this every day, you know. I'm going to develop a complexity at some point. But you see, they come onto the fire break now, so I was thinking that they'll slow down a little bit, but they seem to be on a serious mission. No, there we go. They're starting to feed on these green leaves. I thought that would be the case. They're talking to one another. When they have been going through this dry landscape, when they can find places like this that have nice, fresh green leaves, that's like basically going to the candy store for a child. It's like everything that they're looking for. It's all the goodness and sweetness that they want. So they love to come into these areas and feed. But like I was saying, I mean, they were very naughty last night, and it's amazing with elephants. You know, we've had a quiet run with particularly herds of elephants, and it's because the weather conditions have been terrible. It's been windy, it's been cold, it's been everything that elephants don't like. But as soon as the sun has come out, and as soon as we're getting these hot days, elephants are just pouring in from everywhere to come and utilize the areas that we're in, especially because we have a lot of artificial water. All right, well, we'll stay with our Ellies for now. We'll see what else they get up to. Hopefully, they'll just continue to sit and feed along the fire break.
The WildEarth channel now runs for 24 hours a day and is filled with exciting wildlife experiences for the whole family. In addition to our twice daily live safaris from Africa, we launched Sea Forest. Free divers explore the great African kelp forest under the water in Cape Town, while naturalists on the surface explain what we are seeing in real time. Our Escape to Nature series features exceptional wildlife footage throughout the day, and here you can immerse yourself in the sights and sounds of nature. And finally, we are launching a brand new penguin experience later this month, where you can follow the lives of a group of African penguins daily and in real time. If you want to join in on these experiences, then head over to wildearth.tv/channel to see where you can watch. Escape to nature with WildEarth.
Civilized to just found some black rhino tracks. A mother with a calf. The calf tracks are so small. They're somewhere here in this area, but it's too dense to walk this way. So we're going to walk around where it's not so dense. Let's hope we get lucky.
And sometimes you often drag their feet forward and deposit the scent mark, which is that what they use to patrol their territory.
We managed to get a glimpse of the black rhino, but for safety reasons, of course, we held back and we walked a different way, but it was such a fantastic experience. We didn't just focus on the big things, because it's not all about the big things. We focused on army ants and lots of dung. Civilized did an incredible job, but it's up to the judges now.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Busy searching around as always in the undergrowth for little things to see what we can find here, and finding a lot of signs of squirrels actually all over here. It's all these little marula nuts that have been chewed up by squirrels. They've just chewed away to get to the kernel inside there, full of delicious, nutritious oils and fats, just like most nuts are. And I'll show you, there's one here that hasn't been fully opened yet, it looks like. Let's have a look at you, my friend. You look like... Nope, never mind. It has definitely been chewed into. See that one there? Squirrels are amazing. They're so dexterous. You can literally watch them maneuvering the seed in their paws, in their hands. Not hands, they're in their paws, trying to find that sweet spot. So if you look, you get a little piece of grass here, and put this down so that you can see. If you look just over there, there's a little tab, like a, I don't know how to say it, almost like a hinge. So this seed had a cap on here, like a very hard, woody kind of cap made of the same thing as this outside part here. And just over there's a little hinge, and the squirrels literally dig their long incisors into this part here, pop out that little hinge, and then can get their bottom incisor, or the top one, depending on the angle that they're going, underneath there to pop this cap out. And once they do that, they can get access to that lovely seed that sits right in the middle there. Now, in the Shangaan culture of this area, those seeds are very sought after. If you have the patience and the skill to use a rock or a chisel or a knife or whatever it is that you can find, if you have the patience to crack these things open without damaging the seeds, and you manage to get yourself a bag full of the seeds, that is considered an extremely generous gift. So if you have a very close friend or relative, or just anyone that you're trying to impress, if you got them a bag full of marula nuts or marula seeds, it will be a very generous and valuable gift. So please, next time you come to visit me, bring me a whole bag full, because then I know that you care about me. It's super important. And the squirrels, I mean, I wonder if you could train a squirrel to do this for you. What do you reckon, Beeks? Did you train a squirrel? I think you probably could. Train a squirrel to fetch me marula's nuts and get the seeds out. I would obviously give it enough seeds to be happy, but then my work would be easy. But the squirrels have been busy here. Look at this. Look at this pile of them here. So now it's been winter, right? So these squirrels have probably been collecting these, but not necessarily eating them all straight away. Look at this one. It looks like it looks like a face. Look at this one. This is crazy. Check that out. There's a mouth, 2 eyes, and a nose. It looks really cool. Excuse me, everyone. A little bit of dust in the mouth there. So the squirrels have been collecting these seeds and probably stashing them somewhere around here where there's a hollow in a tree, or I've even seen them going into termite mounds, into holes in termite mounds, to stash these nuts away for the winter when food would have been more scarce. But you know what's also very interesting is that squirrels are omnivores. You know, squirrels are rodents. And like all rodents, they are omnivores, and so they will definitely eat a variety of things, not just nuts and seeds, but they'll literally eat insects. I've heard stories of them catching chicks in nests and things like that. In fact, I saw recently, well, not that recently, but I saw recently in Tswalu a ground squirrel grabbing a dove and taking it underground. It literally killed the dove right in front of where we were and dragged it underground. And that's something I've never seen before. I wonder if Tristan's ever seen something like that. I'll go and ask him.
Mike, are you sure you weren't sleeping? No, I've never seen that before. But that doesn't surprise me. Squirrels are vicious things. I think I've told the story before, but if I have, excuse me, and if I haven't, well, you're going to hear a funny story about a squirrel while we watch our elephants walking down the fire break. So I was at Chitwa at the time, and I was working there, and we had guests check in. Oh, my head again. Morgan. Wendy's also so little. Like, I feel like I just stick out everywhere on Wendy. I don't know why. That also just didn't sound good. Okay, you can come to me for the story as a treat. I'm also going to reposition anyway. So I was working at Chitwa, and I was taking guests' luggage to their room. And they were busy with check-in with the front of house staff. And there was a squirrel lying on the path, and the squirrel was not in good shape. It was dragging itself with its front legs, and its back legs seemingly were not working. Neither was its tail. It was just looking very sorry for itself. So I thought, well, let me take the bags quickly to the room, and when I come back, if it's still on the path, I'll have to move it, because this is not a very good look to have a maimed squirrel dragging itself along the path as people check into a camp. They'll probably think we like these squirrel murderers or something. So I was like, no, let's not do that. So took the bags, came back, squirrel was still, like, it's a long drag mark of the squirrel basically trying to drag itself along. So I was like, well, let's try and figure out what I can do with it. So I thought, I don't really want to grab it and stress it, so I'm going to just pick up by the tail, and then I'll slowly kind of move it towards the path or to the tree, and see if maybe it can hang onto the tree, and then maybe it'll be okay. So as I pick the squirrel up by the tail, this thing does like the best contorting move you've ever seen in your life. In fact, a gymnast would have been proud. And it bent up and it bit me directly on the finger. And those things can bite like crazy. A squirrel is not funny when it bites you. And so I was very, very, very upset with said squirrel. And in a reaction, and I'm not proud of this, but in a reaction, I literally flung the squirrel. Because it bit me, you throw it, So I threw this poor squirrel, and the squirrel went flying, and it landed about 10 meters away, and all of a sudden it fixed whatever was wrong with its back legs, and it ran off. I was like, okay, well, maybe I did it solid. Maybe it just had a trapped back. Hold on, Morgan. I'm going to get myself into a tight ball. I'm good for now. Thank you. So kind, Morgan. Anyway, back to the elephants. Nice to be in amongst them. Oh, this one's got some wounds on its bum. Who have you been fighting with? I wonder if another elephant has poked it in its bottom with a tusk. It's a cow, so it shouldn't really have those wounds. Cows generally don't fight. There we go. So Simon has spotted us an elephant that's got a hernia. Morgan's busy making friends. Hello, what do you want? Are you coming to say hello? But there's one that's got this herniated stomach. I'm sure we've seen this elephant a few times. It rings a bell. That particular shape of that herniation looks as though I've seen it before. But you'll see it just kind of hanging down. Yes, Cheeky, what do you want? I see you. Something magical about being in amongst elephants like this. Simon, what's your favorite animal?
I have no favorite animal.
No favorite animal?
No.
Do you like elephants?
Yes.
Okay. Some people are quite nervous of elephants and don't like to be around them. So I suppose I should always check, because I am completely comfortable around them. So I typically like to be around them, and I don't mind if they come very close. But some people can be quite nervous, and you hear them talking.
Was only once not so happy with the elephant. We have met elephant bull in Must.
Yeah.
And he was running behind the car, the game driver.
Really?
Yes.
Did he chase you for long?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not good when they do
It
that.
was near Crockbridge.
Yeah, Crockbridge and Kruger. Okay. Yeah, so musk bulls can be a little bit of a problem, and you know the thing is elephants generally are very good about showing some sort of body language that they're not happy. So there'll be something that they'll indicate to you that they're unhappy, and it does happen from time to time. You know, big musk bulls, if they're grumpy and they don't want people around, then they sometimes will force themselves on you and try and kind of chase you away. But I think with elephants, as long as you're respectful and you park in a safe distance, and if they walk towards you, then generally it's okay. Like this herd now, you can see is completely relaxed. Everybody is just feeding. No one's worrying about what we're doing or where we are. Hi, Keisha. Not really. They're pretty similar, actually. Elephant skin is not as... Funny enough, the thickest of the skins is the hippo. Hippo have very, very thick skin in comparison to their size. But yeah, no, not that much. Pretty similar in thickness. Both are thick and both are tough. There's just... With elephant skin, there's a lot more. You can see how wrinkled it is, so that's all just to increase surface area to try and help with cooling and bringing the blood temperature down when they go and spray water on them, and radiating heat off by increasing the amount of area that heat can be released from and water can be absorbed. Because remember, elephant skin is permeable, so when they go and spray themselves, it's actually absorbed through the skin. Nice to see this little one is suckling here, but my head will be in the way, so don't worry, Morgan. You just keep filming where my head isn't.
I'm sure you can duck.
You see what happens, guys? I just get bullied. Let me go into my little ball here, then.
Perfect.
Is that better?
Perfect.
Wonderful. I can see so much from down here.
I'm glad.
The footwell of Wendy is pretty, Morgan. You know what is down here is a chafer beetle. That's cool.
See.
Morgan, did you hear what Kimmy asked? I didn't hear, sorry. I was too busy.
I think it was, do elephants mate for life?
Do elephants mate for life? No, most certainly not. Elephants don't mate for life. I'm going to try and rescue a little chafer. Sorry, Morgan. That's, I was in your way there, but there's a little chafer beetle. No, go back on the dashboard. That was in my footwell, and what that was going to mean was that I was probably, in all likelihood, going to stand on it and squash it, which I don't want to do. We don't want to have a situation where we hurt anything, so I want to try and move the chafer back out into the bush and away from where my perfectly average feet are high in the footwell. We always laugh in camp. We have this joke about perfectly average size feet, because Marcel, who... the Afrikanivore, who's got monster boat's feet, says that his 14.5 felly is perfectly average, which is not the case. I'm pretty sure size 14.5 is not an average foot size anywhere in the world, although Marcel will probably have some fact to dispute that. Okay, little chafer, you need to go off my hand and into the bush. Come on. There we go. Otherwise, it's going to end up, like I say, me squashing it, and then I'll feel very bad about it. Nice to see a little chafer beetle, though. Nice to see some insects around. It's a good sign that summer is on its way. I am a big lover of summer. I think the heat and the green and all of that is absolutely beautiful. I just don't like the rain, which is the hard part of it. But I'm glad summer is coming, and we don't have to worry about wearing 75 layers of clothing every morning to go out on game drive. All right, we'll probably carry on and leave our Ellies here. I'm going to go see if we can find Marips and see what he's up to. Hopefully we'll have some luck.
So it's still a very peaceful morning at the dam camp. There are quite a few red-billed and yellow-billed hornbills that are hopping around in the grass looking for some food. A lot of birds calling in the background. You can hear some Egyptian geese. Some Ritz's helmet shrikes. Even a grey go-away bird every now and then. So it's definitely starting to warm up. And it still looks very, very peaceful here at the dam. You can see the water is so still. There's not a breeze out there. There really are a lot of birds calling this morning. You can see it is actually still quite quiet in terms of mammals around the dam. The hippo has only come up every now and then, but mostly still just very, very active with birds hopping around looking for food. So I'm actually looking for the Egyptian geese. I can hear them. There's a pair of them calling each other. And I'm just kind of scanning around for them at the moment. It's still very, very peaceful here. There's a lot of birds flitting around. And there you can hear them calling. I think they might be just below the dip of the bank next to the dam. There's even a woodpecker now. So altogether it seems like there are quite a lot of birds that are congregated around, flying in and out, looking for food. There are also quite a few swallows actually that have been coming down and flying over the dam. And I had a glimpse of a Ngala just now. But I think the animals are waiting for it to get a little bit hotter before they come down here. For the most part, the birds are going to be here the whole day. The bigger animals are probably only coming now as it's starting to warm up. You can see some ripples from the hippo there. He has only really been coming up for breaths. You can see the reflection of the geese in the background now. The life expectancy of a hippo is around 35 to 40 years. The average is probably closer to 35. It would also differ slightly between males and females. And that's because the males tend to be much more territorial than the females, so they might get into a lot more fights. And those fights with those sharp tusks can actually be fatal with all of the wounds that they can inflict on each other. So you might find males live a little bit less than females do. Males are very, very territorial, so you'll find that no matter how dry a dam gets, a male will stay to defend that territory. Where females and calves, if they feel it's getting too dry, they'll actually move off to a different watering hole or river and join with a male that might already be there or a pod that might already be there, because the basic instinct is to make sure your calf and yourself survive. Where the males, because they don't know if they'll find an unoccupied dam, they have to be territorial and stay at the dam. And so you might actually find they'll stay right up until the point where it gets like a muddy sludge and they can actually get stuck in it. And then he'll have to move. Oh, got some oxpeckers. He'll have to move and try and find an unoccupied waterhole, and that's when these territorial battles ensue. There's definitely a few ripples happening in the dam. It looks like possibly even from the fish. There'll also be quite a few things like insects, tadpoles, frogs, all around. But it looks like these oxpeckers are actually just enjoying a drink from the vantage point of the hippo's head. It's a lot safer for them. You can imagine there's not going to be any predator that's going to come up and try and take an oxpecker off of a hippo's head, as opposed to trying to come down from the bank, where it is actually quite dangerous. At the same time, you'll also find that these oxpeckers, in between their preening, in between drinking, they'll also be looking for ticks around the hippo's ears. You can hear them calling. I think that's 7 oxpeckers now. So this is actually fairly common, especially if the hippo does settle down with its head or its back out of the water. Things like these oxpeckers and terrapins as well would actually use that as a stand to sit in the sun. Michelle, I agree, these sounds are lovely, especially at a watering hole. It attracts so many different bird species. You can actually hear an orange-breasted bushrock very clearly there. Let's have a listen. It might be the most bird calls I've heard on a morning so far. It just seems like all of the bird life is out this morning. Hippo should be able to hold its breath anywhere from 5 to 6 minutes, which is a really, really long time. I don't think I could hold my breath that long at all. When they're babies, though, a little calf can probably only hold its breath for 30 to 40 seconds. And then as they get older, they practice and they get better and better at it. Their lungs get bigger as they get bigger, and so they'll get better and better at holding their breath. But an adult like this male, if he goes under, He doesn't need to come up for another 5 or 6 minutes unless he feels, you know, he maybe wants to come and have a look or a listen if there's any predators around or any other hippos. It's actually an incredibly long time. I wonder where this hippo would go to if this dam started drying out. There are a few dams close by, but so far most of them already have a hippo in them. So it would be very interesting to watch the movements as the dams start drying out. Hopefully we get some rain before then. But it's definitely a possibility that the dams will start drying out. Absolutely stunning to be able to sit here and take it in. I'm loving all of the calls.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
We're in the center of the reserve. It's a much more open area, so a completely different experience. It's also in the afternoon, so just a little bit hot, shall we say. We're following some lion tracks, and then we found the scat of a lion cub. So we didn't see the lions, but we decided to leave the area. It was getting a bit too dense and a bit too thick. So we've come all the way down to the water hole to have a little break, and then we're going to keep walking and see what else we can find. And TJ himself actually reminded us at the start of the walk that when you're on the vehicle, it's all about observing. But when you're on a walk, it's all about immersing yourself in nature, being part of the ecosystem. And that's exactly what happened today.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is the call of desperation with the cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops! Oof!
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
I'm not going to lie to you, everyone. I'm not 100% clear on what is going on the bark of this knobthorn tree, though I have some theories. Theory number one could be an insect that ate some of the cambium and bark of this knobthorn, because I see some leftover what we call frass over here that is a similar color to the knobthorn cambium. So that's option one. Insect, although that could be unrelated. It could have been something that was living inside this, hole in the knobthorn. Okay, option one, insect. Option two, one that I would prefer to believe, I don't know if it will be true, bush baby chewed on this, because I know that bush babies, who are nocturnal and come out at night, we don't see them feeding very often, but they do, love knobthorn gum. And if you look inside there, you can actually see some crystallized gum from this knobthorn, which is very nutritious. It's full of all the sugars and goodness that is being transported up and down the tree. And the bush baby, I suspect if this was a bush baby, it would have chewed this thing, and this will become a regular feeding station for the bush baby. They have probably a number of feeding stations throughout their territory. I believe they are territorial. In fact, I know they're territorial. And this could have been one of their feeding stations. But I'm not 100% certain. Have any of you seen what a bush baby's feeding station looks like? A chewed hole in the gum or the bark of a tree? I don't know that I ever have seen one, but if I did, I mean, it looks kind of like maybe teeth might have done this, like chewing in there. There's another piece a bit further down. There's some up there. But maybe it wouldn't have made such a bunch of holes. It might have probably just made one big hole. It's a tricky one. Actually, the more I look at this insect frass, the more I think... So frass is a fancy name for the droppings. I think I already said that. So the more I think about it and the color of it, and the more I think that's probably most likely. And then that insect probably, because I see more of it over there and over there, that insect probably, once it had finished feeding, whatever was feeding on here, the cambium, made its way in there and then probably pupated, because there I see also what looks like a silken cocoon, a very old one. So it looks like whatever insect was in there pupated and then flew out as a beautiful butterfly or some other flying creature. Or not. Maybe it didn't fly. Let me not put a label on this thing. And Anna Marie, I actually haven't seen a bush baby in a while. I'm trying to think when was the last time I saw one. Actually, not that long ago. I think I saw one about 2 weeks ago. But just briefly, we were sitting around the campfire and someone just said, "Oh, what's that?" And then I looked up and there was just a silhouette of a bush baby hopping in a knobthorn, just like this one, above the campfire that we were sitting at. So it wasn't that long ago, Anne-Marie, that I saw one, but I'd love to see one up close, and I'd love to see one on bushwalk. Every now and again, we get so lucky to see one in the hole of a tree, just like this over here, just sticking its head out. And it's awesome when we find their nests, because then we can go there all the time to watch and see how they interact. And, they're quite busybodies, actually. They come in and out, and then they clean, and they hop around, and especially if they've got youngsters, it's very vocal as well. They make lots of noise. We used to have one living in the carport of a lodge I used to work at. So it had these like metal poles, and the poles were hollow, and there was one living in there. So they would often have 2 or 3 heads squishing out of the entrance of this metal pole, just looking out, watching the world. So hopefully we do get to see one soon. And they'll love this kind of thing. I mean, they can hop, they can leap very far. I've seen a bush baby leap from one side of the road all the way to the other. What is that? Like 3-4 meters at least? Easy. But they can probably leap much more than that as well. But literally, what do they say? 10 times its own body length, including the tail. So that's like 10 times that, maybe longer. That's quite far. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's even more than that. I don't know. Anyway, it will be very easy for them to literally go from one side of the dam, hopping in these knobthorns, all the way across to the other side of the dam. They don't just eat gum, they also eat insects. So especially when these knobthorns were flowering, they would have been very frequent visitors. They will eat the nectar, probably even eat the flowers, fruits, insects that are attracted to those flowering plants, and the gum. A knobthorn is like an all-you-can-eat buffet for a bush baby. I hope we see some action this year. I mean, this waterhole's got lots of trees that are going to be flowering very frequently. There's the one weeping boerbean, which some of you might remember from last year, has copious amounts of flowers, and those flowers drip lots of nectar, and they will love that nectar. Sorry, I was very distracted there. FC was giving me some information there. Guys, we are going to be showing you a short clip, so enjoy it. Oops. Oop.
So this lilac-breasted roller has been sitting very, very close to the dam cam the whole morning, and it's been flying down, picking up insects and coming back up. It's been absolutely incredible to watch how it moves and how quickly it drops down. So I'm hoping that it drops down because it finds an insect and you get to see it. You can see its head moving while it's scanning for prey. And it'll take anything from a small tiny insect like a bee right the way up to big beetles and things like that. Definitely scanning quite a lot. You can see a lot of movement in the head, although the body is still staying quite nice and still. So although it looks like a fairly small bird, I've always been quite surprised at how big the rollers actually are. A lilac-breasted roller is actually very, very tall, including the streamers, which are those two kind of longish feathers on either side of the tail. It can be about 30 to 36 centimeters, which is incredibly big compared to what you would think when you actually see the bird. This is definitely one of the more common bird species here, especially around the waterhole at this point. You can see there's a few Burchell starlings and doves that have been moving in and out as well. Some Egyptian geese calling. In between the grey go-away bird calls, you can actually hear another roller calling. Stop now. You can hear a lot of movement as well. That's birds. Oh, there we go. Oh. Saw it fly down. Not back up. There it flew back up. It's done that a few times. It comes down, then flies straight back up over the camera. There's a lot of bird activity this morning. And this is a really, really good area specifically for rollers because of that thick grass, although it's short, and because of the water hole, there will be a lot of insects that will start moving through. It's very, very interesting to watch the bird movements. The roller has actually been concentrating, instead of right next to the dam, actually on the area closer to the little road or the two-track. And that's because as insects cross where there might be an intersection of a road, it's much easier to see them. The hippo is still very much up and down for breaths. You can see some crested francolins towards the edge of the dam. It just seems as though it is a really, really good birding day. So I'm just having another scan with the camera, because when you're focused on something small, you might miss something big. And I think this waterhole is going to become quite popular. Michelle, if I'm not mistaken, the different colors on a lilac-breasted roller, so you can group them into some of the bigger base colors. So there's blue, there's purple, there's green, there's brown, there's white, and there's black. But if you actually have a look at it closely with all the different shades, there's dark purple, there's lilac, there's white, there is like a neon green, there's a darker emerald green, there's brown, there's black, there's navy or dark royal blue, there's neon blue, and there's a bit of a mixture in between. So I would say at least 15 shades that would make up the lilac-breasted roller if you look at everything, because there's even a little bit of rust color on the cheek. And so it really is a proper rainbow bird, if you can call it that, just based on the number of different colors that you can see in the feathers. The different shades of the blues and the greens and the purples are actually better seen in different angles of light. So for example, the early morning light is really good when a lilac-breasted roller is quite puffed up. You can see a lot more of the variations in shades. When it's silhouetted, you won't see as many. But I'm definitely enjoying being able to have a look at all the different birds that seem to be coming down today. It's a very popular waterhole for birds this morning.
A herd of impalas is approaching Leopard Dam. We're just going to sit quietly and enjoy them. It's amazing that we're sitting so still and quiet and they have no idea that we're here. It's a big herd of impala, actually. Still more streaming through the grass towards the dam.
Well, yes, one has just spotted some waterbuck for us, but we've been checking around and we found tracks for Thandi and Marips. Unfortunately, it looks like both of them have gone into Torchwood Camp, and I saw one of the guys, he said they saw them in the camp last night, but we can't find any tracks coming out of the camp, so it seems like they're still inside there, which is a bit of a problem because we obviously can't get to them in there. So we're just checking a little to the south now in case I missed the track coming out, which is possible. But we didn't see anything, and his tracks are just absolutely everywhere around the camp. He's going up and down and doing his thing. Sugar bits. So Morgan, did you get the whole question there? Sorry. You spilled coffee on your finger. Well, that's not nothing new. What's the biggest leopard I've ever seen? Again, this question, you know, the size things always are the frustrating ones because it's like you can never be 100% sure with what you're saying. I would imagine, for me, Anderson, Campan, and Imbavala were all very close in terms of appearance, but I never saw any of them together. So it's difficult to know who was the biggest of those, but those would be my three, really the biggest ones that I've seen just from actually gotten a proper visual at. There's been one or two in Kruger that I've seen running off, and you know, it's difficult to get a true sense of the size, but those three boys are all massive individuals, and were in their primes were crazy big. So I think those would be my three, and none of them they'd be splitting hairs, I think, as to which one is bigger. I mean, we know Mbavala is a heavy cat at 97 kilograms when he was weighed. Is no joke. So, you know, he's probably we have a very accurate sort of information about him in terms of his weight. But yeah, Anderson was no joke either, and like I say, Campan was also a beast in his time too. Msakwen as well, as actually, now that I think about it, he was a monster. So Anderson's, they think Anderson's dad. They look very similar. He was a seriously big leopard. Don't run away, Dwarf Mongoose. Morgan doesn't want to film Dwarf Mongoose this morning, everybody. I've tried 3 times now, and he keeps telling me that they're too close, or they're too far, or this is not right.
You've been giving me such good visuals of them.
I know, I've been giving you the best visuals. You know, 500 meters into the bush behind leaves is not a bad visual. Yeah, Dwarf Mongoose also on the fire breaks. See, everybody's on the fire breaks today. They're scouting about. The sun is out. It's warm. Perfect conditions for a little dwarfy to go about its business and to do its thing. You'll find that they love to bounce around on these fire breaks and scratch, and this is nice and clear so they can get to whatever it is. They can open up the soil and find what they need. Unfortunately, they've all disappeared now. Epic visuals, Morgan. Right, well, I can't hear what Elton is saying, so you're going to have to read it to me. I can just hear the radios clicking. Right, so we are going to carry on. We're going to try and see if somehow one of these cats comes out of that camp in the meantime and send you across to Tessa and see how enjoying life on the dam camp.
I agree with Tristan. It is the perfect time for little dwarf mongooses to be out and about. And I seem to have a whole colony that is spread out along the side of the dam, searching for any food this morning. There was actually even a slender mongoose that was running away in the background just now, and I was very interested to see that there was no interaction between the dwarf mongoose and the slender mongoose. Oh, there's some elephants coming down too. You can can see the mongooses aren't too bothered about the elephant coming past. Still just carrying on with their feeding. They're really spread out all along that bank. You can just see the little flecks of movement around the elephant's feet. So it really is a stunning, stunning morning for everyone to be starting to come down to the dam. Our words aren't coming out this morning. It's actually quite interesting. I'd be very interested to see if those mongooses actually go and have a look where the elephant has just been. To go and see if there's anything that's been kicked up by the elephant while it was feeding there. But for the most part, it looks like they're actually moving in the opposite direction. So the elephant seems to be on its own for the most part at this point. So it's not very unusual because this looks like it's a young male. Possibly separated from the herd fairly recently because he's not that old. Few birds moving out of the pathway for the elephant. Oh, there's another elephant or two coming down behind. Beautiful. It's really wonderful to see when all the elephants start coming down to a waterhole there. You can see them moving right the way from the back at the top of that crest. When they decide to come down to the waterhole, they get very, very determined, and so not much will stop them. They tend to come running down. I'm sure we're going to have some action here with splashing. There's definitely going to be a little bit of action there when the rest of the herd joins in. There you can see them starting to come down. And I'm sure quite a few of them are going to splash themselves. And I really want to hear those sounds as they come down. I'm hoping we'll pick them up there on the far side of the dam. Just see the movement as the elephants are starting to come down the bank there. That looks like a mom and a calf. A little bit of an interaction happening. Jackson, adult elephants actually won't lie down much, if at all. If they want to rest, they normally actually lie against a termite mound or sometimes even just a very large tree. However, younger elephants, especially tiny calves, will lie down a good few times a day and during the night to rest because they get tired much more quickly, and so you'll find them resting underneath mom's stomach or in a little patch of shade. As they get older, though, elephants will lie down less and less. They actually don't need much sleep during the day or during the night as adults, but they're just so heavy that it's actually very difficult for an elephant to lie down and get back up when it's an adult. And so, I've seen maybe in my whole life maybe 5 adult elephants that are lying down, and most of them are up against a termite mound while they're doing it. You can see they're all quenching their thirst. Maybe it's still a little bit cool for these elephants to start splashing themselves, but you never know. Maybe by the time they leave, they might start splashing. But for now, it's just absolutely beautiful to see them all mirroring each other's movements as they're drinking. I can hear the other elephants. There they are in the background now. I can just hear movement through the brush. Because it's so dry, it makes more noise than it normally would for an elephant. So this is probably quite a large herd. If it is the herd that has been here for a few days, I would think it's about 20 or so elephants, but maybe just filtering down in bits and pieces. I could hear them feeding through the night last night. So I'm definitely hoping the rest of the elephants come down, and it would be lovely, lovely to see them all drinking together next to the side of the dam.
We had a very exciting start to our morning this morning. Today, it's our guided sunrise safari with Mike, and we started by looking at the moon through a telescope, which was incredible. It's been a very different drive from all the other ones, very interactive.
Your pigeal gland is something the Hippo's have in common.
Hi. This morning's drive with Mike was thoroughly enjoyable. He really engaged us, but we also did some birding, and I managed to add a few new birds onto my list. Overall, every single experience with all the competitors has been really incredible, but it's up to the judges now.
Delivering 6 hours of HD wildlife content live every day is no small feat. It's a massive team effort, and we all rely on one another. Cam ops have a bit of work to do in the morning. Up nice and early, get all the checks out of the way, and make sure we're ready to go live. Helping others fall in love with nature brings meaning to what I do. It's also a lot of fun.
The impala herd just left the dam and are heading in a westerly direction, but there's still one impala that's coming quite late to drink at the water's edge. That's quite dangerous for that one impala. I wonder if it's injured. It's got a lot of oxpeckers on it. That's often a sign that that's got a wound somewhere on its body. Let me have a closer look with my binoculars if I can see any injury. Oftentimes when impala are left behind like this, it means it's either got an injury or it's got some health complication like a buildup of ticks or parasites or some sort of a bug. But I mean, it looks in fairly good condition. It's a little skinny, but that's probably just the time of year. Not very tolerant of that oxpecker though. Look how cautiously it approaches the water's edge. We've never seen a crocodile in any of our dams here at Pride Lands, but that's not to say that there isn't a crocodile or can never be a crocodile. I always think any water anywhere in in the Lowveld, if it's murky like this, don't risk it. Don't eat that biscuit. Don't risk it for the biscuit. There's another impala coming behind towards the water. The other impala that's coming to the left of that one is very pregnant. You can see it's got quite a pendulous belly. Also has an oxpecker on it. You can see this other impala is far larger. So this is a adult female that's behind the pregnant one, and this other one is a young female, probably a yearling. Oh, she came all the way to the water's edge and didn't drink. That's odd. Wonder why. Now the one that's drinking is having 2 oxpeckers on it, and they're busy gleaning their way through that fur, combing through the fur. Oh, they're 3 oxpeckers. Those oxpeckers are not welcome though. Gosh, they're being chased off at every opportunity. Generally speaking, very useful, keeping them clean of parasites, but when the number of oxpeckers exceeds the need for grooming, that maybe the parasite load is quite low, it starts to become a nuisance. And they will actively chase away those oxpeckers. All's quiet once again at the dam. I'm sure something else will be along shortly. Lots of go-away birds are now coming to the dam. Not easy to see them from where BK is there. It's difficult for you to see from there, BK. They're behind that island there. The impalas are looking healthy. They are looking quite skinny, but not an unhealthy skinniness. There's no bones on their hips showing on most of them. They're generally in good condition. Just, probably in a constant state of a little bit of hunger because they're not having good quality food at the moment. But it's not long. As I said, I think in a few days' time, the temperature is building and building every single day, and I'm sure it's going to break with our first rainfall of the season. Now, I've said that, I've probably jinxed it. Let me touch wood. There you go, I've touched the knobthorn. We will hopefully receive the first rains, which will stimulate a huge amount of growth. We're already seeing grasses trying to grow. We've seen the bases of them getting green, but it's just very slow at the moment. But as soon as that rain falls, they will shoot up and the impalas will quickly gain condition again. impala in the back of the dam running off there. Not sure. They didn't alarm call or anything, so I don't think it's a predator. Maybe they just got a fright from something moving in the grass. Oh, there's a squirrel coming down to drink. That's interesting. Don't often see squirrels drinking. BK on the right of you there. Oh, it's not easy again for you to see, but right to the right of the dam where we normally sit with the vehicle, BK. There's a squirrel there. No, I think it's difficult for you from where you're sitting. It's behind the bushes. Not often we see. There's a couple of animals that have been coming down that we don't often see at waterholes. For example, we just saw a grey duiker or a common duiker come down to the water a bit earlier, and now the whole way through summer those things won't even come near water. But now that it's coming to the next summer, we haven't had rain for many, many months, and the duiker is starting to get thirsty. Not enough moisture left in the plants that it likes to forage on. In fact, no moisture at all left in. It's completely dry. A healthy collection of 3-banded plovers along the far back of the dam in the mud, wading around looking for insects. The little grebe, two geese. The bird life is actually quite spectacular this morning. Let's see what kind of bird life Tristan has at his dam.
We had various birds, Tswalu Dam. There's lots to look for. We had a fish eagle but he flew away. I can't speak this morning, Morgan. There was a fish eagle and it flew away. I'm sure there'll be some green-backed herons, black crakes, 3-banded plovers, blacksmith lapwings. They'll all be around, Egyptian geese as well. But what we do have on the far side of the dam is some zebras. It's been a long time since I've seen zebras at Tswalu Dam. Nice to have them. It actually looks really cool when you look out over the dam and there's zebras and impalas and they're all moving along towards the water. I'm sure they're going to go try and drink from the far end of the dam, the shallow end where it's less chance of being zapped by a crocodile. The crocs often mill about the island here, and so if you drink close to there, then they kind of see you coming. But if you go far down to the far end, it's much shallower. It'll be a lot harder for the crocs to sneak up and grab you. Although the crocs here very seldom will grab something as big as a zebra. Most of the time, what they're after is smaller things. They mostly are fish eaters in this particular dam. Every now and then you'll see them with a large mammal, but that's normally like impala, nyala, and it's mostly because wild dogs have chased the animal into the dam and they've then benefited from that. Very, very peaceful and serene at Tswalu this morning. You can see also by the dam that there's very, very little wind that has come through. It's much, much, much better than it has been over the last few days, and I think we're actually going to end up with a pretty hot day today. It feels as though it's warm. It feels like we're in sort of summer period now. When you get this hotness in the sun early in the day, then you know it's going to be a hot day. And without that cool wind blowing, it's going to be perfect conditions. I was hoping that we were going to find a leopard somewhere for Simon, but so far nothing. It's been very quiet. I also spoke to the guys in the east. They've had no sign of any leopards around Tswalu the last couple of days since they last saw Semba, which is 2 days ago, I think. Sam was seen, but he was on the other side of the dam, and it seems as though he has kind of moved. Obviously, the zebras are drinking far on the other end there, Morgan. I don't know if you'll even be able to get it. It's a long, long, long way away, but they're all the way on the other side, lining up in the shallow section, which is where we thought they would be drinking from. Much, much, much safer down that end. other than the fact that there's got to contend with the marauding mareeps sometimes. He likes that side of the dam as well. I often see him kind of going down that way. But I think with Tsemba and Shasha being around, it's maybe why he's not spending as much time here. Leadwood Dam on Torchwood is much nicer for the simple reason that he doesn't have nearly as much competition as what he has down this area. The only problem with Chitwa Dam at this time of the day is the sun absolutely obliterates you because it comes up from the east. In the afternoon, this view from where we are now is spectacular and the light is beautiful. But this time of the day, not so much. Oh, there's a hippo that's just popped up next to us. I didn't even notice that. See all the zebras coming down. When it's hot, the waterholes are the best place to be. Sometimes just going and sitting at a waterhole for the day and letting things come to you can be very, very rewarding, particularly when it's dry. Fine, dry and hot, and you can have a winning recipe with water. This hippo looks very, very sleepy. Morgan, it looks a bit like you when you get on the car in the morning before your coffee. Slow and methodical.
She was bullying, I have to keep up.
Bullying?
Yeah.
Everybody, you didn't see what happened just now. Morgan told me that we were live, and he made me do a whole segment, even though we weren't, because my comms weren't working very well, and we weren't actually live, and he made me present like we were live. And so the bullying goes both ways. And then he laughed at me. Anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, the hippos will be very sleepy now. I'm sure most of them have been awake all night. So now's the time just to have a little rest, find a nice sandbank, and have a good nap for the morning. Might hear the Egyptian geese in the background, always making a lot of noise. Let's go and see why they're shouting at one another. Maybe there's something lurking below them. Could be another Egyptian goose, of course, but you never know. Maybe there is something else that we can pick up. Behind the dam wall here is often a good place for spotty cats. So when you have Egyptian geese that are making noise, it's always the worst idea just to check carefully. Although I think these guys are just talking to themselves at this stage. Yes. When we talk about birds at Chitwa Dam, Egyptian geese is probably the one that comes to mind. They are absolutely everywhere here. Sometimes there's big, big groups of them. All right, we'll probably carry on. We'll leave Chitwa Dam and go and see what else is lurking. Then we go check Twin and Treehouse, see if anything has come out that side.
Got some cool feathers. These feathers belong to one of two different birds. Could be a southern yellow-billed hornbill or a southern red-billed hornbill. I don't know which one it is because they both basically look exactly the same except for their bills, as the name suggests. One is red and one is yellow. And there's only two feathers that I can see here. I don't see more around me, just two. So this makes me think, well, no, there's another one behind here. Let me just grab a few there, BK, so you can see how different it is. But there's not a lot. I see just two more kind of fluffy feathers. So you can see these ones are the flight feathers. Strong, rigid feathers for flying. These ones here are softer feathers, probably from the breast of the bird, just keeping the bird insulated. Underneath these would be downy feathers, very, very loose feathers that are quite fluffy, that will allow the bird to be nice and warm. Oh, you know what? I'm actually finding a few more feathers here. Oh dear, now it's starting to look a bit different. I was going to say this looks like the bird was maybe preening itself and plucked a few feathers out that weren't looking so good anymore. But now there's a whole bunch of feathers here. As I look further around me, I see more and more feathers. Check over here, BK. I think there's even more over here. So now this is looking more like potentially this bird was attacked by something. Now, I can't see damage to the feathers, really. They look in fair enough condition, but so many feathers out of the bird would definitely have affected its ability to fly very well. Is there also a feather there? Yeah, there's another feather in there. So perhaps this bird was in a fight. Maybe it got attacked by a bird of prey and managed to escape. Maybe fought with another hornbill over territory, potentially, and in that moment lost a lot of its feathers. So this hornbill hopefully did survive, though. No bits of meat attached to the feathers, so I don't think it was eaten by something. I think it just had a little bit of a fight.
So I've got some very interesting things happening at the dam cam at the moment. In the front we've got a pair of Egyptian geese. One of them is very intent on feeding right at the bottom of the pan. And in the background the whole herd of elephants has come down and we are playing. You can see the little ones in particular are having a very good time there in the little dry mud wallow. Two very young calves. Trying their best to get out. Very, very clumsy young male. And it definitely seems like it's an elephant kind of day today. Elephants and birds. So this herd was definitely feeding all around here last night. They have not moved far, but I think now that it's gotten a bit warmer, they wanted to come down to the dam just to have a drink. They haven't actually come and had any water yet, but they are edging closer and closer as it's getting warmer. So there are at least 20 elephants in this herd, which is incredible because if I zoom out, you actually can't see the rest of them. They are just in the thickets behind these elephants at the dry mud wallow. Every now and then you just catch the movement of that tail flicking or an ear. You can hear a Burchell starling and a lilac-breasted roller. And a grey go-away bird. So this herd of elephants, I think the initial 4 that came down to the dam, they might be part of this herd, but they've actually moved off in the opposite direction. They've gone right out on the other side already and they have left the area, so very possible that it's just little groups that are splitting off of this herd. And you might find they might come back together at some point. There's also some baboons that are in amongst the elephants. I've just seen one now, mom and a baby at the top left, to the left of the elephants. There is so much happening in one frame with these Egyptian goose feeding. So they're actually just trying to get right down to the bottom to see if there's anything down there to eat. The elephants all moving around and feeding and playing. And definitely some baboons that are moving in and out as well. So this behavior is actually very interesting to watch. They are incredibly skilled. It's actually the Egyptian goose using its back legs to balance, so it's constantly paddling while it's balancing upside down. And that allows it to stretch its neck right down to the bottom and just have a look there for the freshest food, because the food right at the bottom is going to be nice and nutritious. So remember, Egyptian geese actually only eat really plants, so things like grasses and some of the roots of other plants. And so that's what they're looking for right at the bottom, is if there's any grassy growth, that's what they're going to be looking for. That very young calf is now back at the little mud wallow. Oh no, leaving again. There is definitely a lot of activity happening. It actually looks like these elephants are not going to drink at all this morning. They're moving off towards the drainage line. Remember, no, I've never seen an elephant that's been afraid of a mouse. I think the phrase actually comes from, elephants are so big that any very small, fast movements, something like a mouse that would be jetting from place to place, or a dwarf mongoose, would catch the elephant's attention. But no, I've never ever seen that. I have definitely seen lots of elephants that have gotten a fright from something that they didn't know was there, but I doubt it was an elephant genuinely being afraid of a mouse. I think it would be very funny to see, though, if it actually happened. I can just picture, especially an elephant of kind of this age, that very, very young calf. I can imagine a bird or something kind of flitting in front of it very quickly, and the elephant having a bit of a reaction to it. I think that would be very cute to watch. One of my favorite things is when young elephants of that age try and test their kind of attitude, if that makes sense. So the elephants actually chasing birds and things that are close to them. I think that's very, very cute. So most of the elephants have actually disappeared into that thick drainage line that you can see at the back there. And I thought they were going to come down and have some water, but maybe they've decided that they'll come down in the heat of the day this afternoon and instead move back into the shelter of the drainage line. Looks like it's only a few of the youngsters that are actually still milling around. You can see now quite a few of the bigger ones moving in from the right as well. So the other 4 elephants disappeared very, very quickly. I'm wondering if they weren't initially part of this herd and then started splitting with the dry weather that we've had. You can imagine resources are not so plentiful, especially for something as big as an elephant. And so maybe it was easier for them to split, and they just happened to coincide at the same dam again. So very interestingly, a lot of the elephants in this herd came down to that dry little mud wallow. They played in it for a bit. There is no actual mud in there. It is completely dry. They didn't come any closer to the dam, and then they left. And I'm wondering if they weren't looking particularly for a mud wallow as opposed to water, just as a bit of a protective layer on the skin for the sun as well as for insects. I think they know it is going to be an incredibly hot day today, and so trying to be preventative with the sunburn. The rest of the elephants are definitely off in the thickets. You can see another dwarf mongoose there, too. So this elephant looks as though it wants to drink. It's coming very determinedly towards the dam. Might actually come up to the little pan here where the pump pan is, because it's cleaner. Yes, I think that's the plan. Oh, no, found some water down at the bottom. Lovely to see another elephant drinking, and actually very cool to have the Egyptian geese in the front as well. Bit of a different picture this morning. I'm loving it.
I have a degree in environmental planning and development. My passion is outdoor classrooms. We are not only grooming the environmentalists of tomorrow, but tomorrow's leaders as well. My long-term goal is for the people of South Africa to learn how to live sustainably, to be able to look after themselves and the environment. So I hope that through environmental education, we are able to get that message to the future generation of South Africa, so that they start now and can continue that good practice in the future. Environmental education is critical so that people can live sustainably in the future. That is my long-term goal.
The scrap here collected a dry grass, put it next to the water hole as the hippo walks down during the warm of the day to drink the water. When the hippo arrives, he saw quite a very nice grass, an area not to resist to rest. And when the hippo went down to drink the water, and when finished the water, he just lied down on the grass. And then, that was the opportunity of the scrappy. You know what? Today is my day to pay the revenge.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, two to go.
Well, we haven't managed to find anything else just yet. We saw our elephant herd from a little bit earlier. Seems lots of them around. But yeah, we've struggled a little bit with any sort of tracks for Thandi or Marips. The only ones that we can find are going in to the camp itself, and so well, it's not really much more I can do from there. There's a crazy pop of color here. It's trying to find an angle where we can actually see it nicely, which is the tree wisteria that is blooming at the moment. Try and find a gap where Morgan can at least get something. How's that, Morgan? But this particular tree wisteria is flowering heavily at the moment. It's crazy how you've got this brown dry grass and sort of desolate landscape with no leaves on the trees, and out of nowhere then you get this bright purple exploding out of a tree. It's crazy. And this particular one, like I say, is flowering as heavily as you could ever see. There's so many flowers on this particular wisteria. I don't know what would cause it to have so many. If you look, there's actually one to the right that doesn't have nearly as much as that. But it's cool to see. I like when you kind of have that color, especially at this time. Yes, behind all the bushes there. No, that's an acacia, Morgan. Would you like me to go forward? Is that what you're asking? Is this like a subtle hint that's not so subtle? Yeah, I thought so. Morgan, you know what? Let me go forward for you. Let me help you in your endeavor to show everybody else the not so flowering wisteria. Is that better? Pause right, I'm too kind. You see, everybody, did you hear that? You heard it? Morgan said I'm too kind. For all of you that think I bully him, you can hear now that the man himself has just spoken. But yeah, that's the kind of difference. You can see how sparse that one is in comparison. What that one does have, though, that the other one doesn't, is a lot more green leaves. The other one is still quite sort of desolate from a leaf point of view, but certainly has a lot of flowers. Nice to see them. They're always a good sign, our wisterias. Wisterias are the sign of spring and summer and warmth and happiness. And mosquitoes, which is not so happy. Simon, do you like mosquitoes? Because I'm yet to meet somebody that does.
Mosquitoes?
Yeah. No.
Like me.
Do they like you?
Yes.
As well?
Yes.
It'll be a competition if we're in the same place together. Which one will go to where? But normally they come to me. Morgan? Do mosquitoes like you? Unfortunately. Yeah. Sorry, Morgan, you're going to have to repeat what Elton's saying. He sounds like he's at the bottom of a toilet. Anna Marie, you agree that wisterias are awesome? I thought you were going to say, Morgan, you had an opportunity there. You could have been like, agree, Morgan is awesome. You could have done anything with it. Oh, afterwards you said Morgan and Morgan too.
There was a comma.
Was it comma? Okay. So wisterias are awesome, and then comma and Morgan too. Morgan is amazing. Oh, Morgan, you had such an opportunity. But yes, Anna Marie, they are beautiful, beautiful trees, are tree wisterias. Very overlooked outside of their little short flowering season that they have. You know, they flower now for a very short period of time, like 3 weeks. And before that and after that, no one really pays them much attention. Which is quite sad. I mean, I suppose they don't really have the grandeur that a big knobthorn or a big marula or jackalberry scotia has, and so that's probably why they don't attract the same amount of attention. You know, they're typically quite small trees and fairly narrow. They don't have these big crowns that are elaborate and kind of have leopards draped over them like some of these other trees. It's probably why, actually, there's no leopard. But a leopard in a wisteria would be actually quite a cool shot. So imagine all those purple flowers with like a little leopard cub in amongst them. I mean, one must throw it out there. If you don't throw it out there, then it's not going to happen. If you throw it out there, just let it drift through the bush eventually. So this evening, yeah, that particular one, we're going to get Marips. No, the one on the right, the one with lots of flowers. The left of the frame. It's all about a perspective, Morgan. Sorry, everybody. All right. But while I try and fix my audio, because like I say, it sounds like Elton is buried under 20 million liters of water, I'm going to send you across. I got it. Thanks very much, Morgan. We're going to send you across to see what we're going to be discussing this weekend on our fireside chat.
As WildEarth has shown, a guide is critical to your enjoyment when on safari. Safari Guide of the Year is an annual event which creates awareness for these men and women who dedicate their lives to tourism and wildlife. WildEarth fully supports this initiative that gives more credit to a profession that drives our economy and flies South African flags higher than most. In the lead up to our live award ceremony, where the Safari Guide of the Year 2021 will be crowned, we are inviting all our viewers to join us for a special fireside chat. Open to everyone, this unique event invites some of the top guides in the country to Djuma on the 26th of September, straight after the Sunset Safari.
So I seem to be sitting with the last few stragglers from the elephant herd. These are the only two that have not gone into the drainage line yet, and very aptly accompanied by a fork-tailed drongo who's currently hiding just underneath the elephant calf, but you'll see it flitting around. And definitely hoping for some more insects to be flushed out of the grass as the elephants are moving and feeding. So these two elephants are actually on the other side of the dam. The rest of the herd has already moved up the drainage line to the left. Alright, so while I have a look for anything else that's coming down to the dam, maybe those elephants will come a little closer, I'm going to send you over to Mike, who's found a dazzle on Bushwalk.
We certainly do. We left Leopard Dam and we're headed back towards HQ, and we've bumped into this beautiful group of zebra, a dazzling group of zebra. It looks like it might be stallions. It's difficult to tell because we don't have the best view and we're trying not to disturb them by staying as still as possible. I can't see, I've sort of crouched down behind some bushes, but I can see the movement. But the way they were acting earlier, it looks like young stallions, because they're sort of biting and playing and almost kicking each other. Let me just try and see if I can have a closer look with my binoculars from here. See that behavior there? See how they're trying to bite each other? Zebras are very aggressive as males when they're fighting. So if these are young stallions, they will not be always very friendly with each other. Beautiful coloration though. Looking absolutely brightly colored. Black, white, and those shadow stripes clearly visible in the rumps there, which is unique to the plains zebra that we get here in southern Africa. It's very difficult to tell. I can see the one at the very front. I can see between his legs. That's a stallion for sure. I can see the very obvious undercarriage. And the way they're acting really does look like a group of stallions, boisterous with each other, pushing and shoving and trying to bite. And it's too big to be a harem. It's very rare that a stallion would have collected this many females. I mean, not impossible, but rare. Yeah, those are all stallions, that group. I can see underneath the tail, a very thin, dark stripe. Cool. Sounds like there's a vehicle approaching, potentially might push these zebras away from us. Maybe towards us, that could get interesting. Oh, look at them, there's heaps and heaps of zebra. That's fabulous. Yeah, definitely a vehicle approaching, unfortunately. It is moving these zebra off. We are sitting underneath a beautiful shaded tamboti thicket, as you can see. Now that the zebras are moving away, I can stand up again. They're no longer watching us. And this tamboti thicket is full of bees enjoying the fruits of the season.
So it definitely seems as though as the day is going on, there are more and more animals coming down to get a drink of water. There are two beautiful Ngala females in amongst some very pregnant impalas at the moment, all just feeding slowly along the edge of the dam with that new growth. And every now and then stopping to have a drink. It actually looks like that one Ngala might be a young male. It looks like he has small horns on top of his head. Yes, definitely a young male. You can see him walking off to the left. Absolutely beautiful scenery as the impalas and other antelope start to spread out along the side of the dam. I think they're going to spend a majority of the day here now. There's a beautiful open area behind the dam. And I think with the heat of today, they're really going to soak up as much water and shade as they can. See if I can get a nice close-up for you of that young male's horns. There you can just see the tips of his horns sticking out, so it's a very young male. And he's just starting to changing color as well. You can see a bit of a mane down his back. Absolutely beautiful to see this morning.
Still bumbling along in the hope of something coming out very quiet this morning across everywhere. Lots of tracks and lots of audio for leopards and lions and various other things, but no one's actually found anything. The only thing that we've seen this morning is a lot of elephant, and on the radio it seems exactly the same. There's just a lot of elephants everywhere. They're all kind of doing their thing and coming out, I think, with the heat towards all these water points. But yeah, otherwise quiet morning. It's so strange how few leopard tracks we're seeing on Djuma itself these days. Everything is on Torchwood, Biffle's Hook. We got very little to show for our efforts here on this property, but that's okay. It's a flux. We go through fluxes out here with leopards. They always going to have times of plenty and then times of not so many, and then back again. It's been like this for years and years and will continue to be this way until such time as we get an established female with cubs. It's always going to feel like it's a little drier than it should be, and at the moment Kalumba's just so all over the place and so elusive. It's difficult to kind of pin her down, and then you've got only fringe territory with Kara and Shudulu and Tandi and Sabui, so it just makes life that much harder. And Moya no longer comes up here. I don't know who sent her packing, but she doesn't venture in this area anymore. It seems between Kalamba and I would imagine Kalamba and Sabui were responsible for her no longer coming north. She used to see her a lot here at Treehouse Dam, but yeah, nowadays not so much. Right, we're just approaching Treehouse Dam now. There's a little bee eater. I'm hoping it's not going to fly. I'm going to get my big head out the way, otherwise Morgan shouts at me. Come on, little bee eater. Stay where you are. There we go. Such beautiful little birds. They're going to be a challenge for you, Morgan, and a challenge for my head, too. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Beautiful little emerald green backs with that bright yellow chin and that little blue collar that they've got. Oh, nice. A little defecation in our direction. They're normally in pairs. I'm surprised just the one here at the moment. Often see it, at this area that we know these birds well. It's probably why they're so chilled with the cars and will land so close. Is that they see us a lot. They've been here for years. And like I say, in pair together. Two of them. And off it goes. All right, let's carry on towards the dam. I don't hear anything from there, so it's not like there's any ellies splashing or anything like that. That's how overdue our buffalo herd. They haven't come back. I thought they would have been back by now. Lots and lots of impalas at Treehouse Dam. Morgan, there's an animal at Treehouse Dam. Can you believe it? Something's wrong. You think so? Not right, no. Alrighty, let's go and check in here and see what these impalas are doing. They look like they're not doing very much other than drinking and eating of the leaves, as impalas do. Go forward a little bit. There we go. So Dina K, no, impalas don't always go into the rut at the same time in all different locations, unless you're talking about the locations here in South Africa. So in South Africa, yes, the impala rut is pretty well timed across South Africa due to the weather conditions and the way that our seasons work. But if you go up into the Mara or East Africa, they don't have a rutting season like we do. It's not as defined. The impalas will rut at any time to try and mate with the female. So it's less of a rut and more of a I'm going to kind of mate with this female, and they'll chase each other and gargle and snort and have a little fight and then mate, and then it's kind of over. The ellies are on their way. I can hear them coming this way, or they've already been here, one of the two, but there's an elephant somewhere close by. I heard a tree just go down. That's why the impalas are all looking in that direction. So they'll mate at any time of the year. Geographically, there's some differences in the rut and when it is and how long it lasts for and how serious a rut you can actually call it. But the South African one is pretty standard across Phinda, Ngala here, Pridelands. Pretty much the same. Pretty little animals though. It's a nice view with the water and the contrast of the blues and the light tones. Peaceful at the waterhole this morning. A couple birds calling. Some impalas. Morgan, do you reckon we can get something here before the time you leave? Yeah?
I reckon there's going to be madness.
Madness, one of the days. We're going to get chaos here. I think Morgan and I, that every drive that we've been together, we've made it to Treehouse Dam at least at some point during the drive. So we haven't missed a drive, no. Ex-Ranga, you're going to have to say that Morgan is awesome. Oh, what have you done? Do you see how the camera all of a sudden just changed angle? Morgan's head just inflated quickly there, and the whole car is thrown off balance now.
What was matching you?
It's matching me, exactly. That's why you're on the wrong side of the car. Morgan's on my side of the car. That's why it's gone all pear-shaped. You'll have to be on the other side to balance things out, Morgan.
What a good comment.
What a great comment, you know? Hey? Are you happy about that one?
Very.
I can see that. Very excited.
It's nice that it's not just like you saying it. No.
It's not just me, no. The world is saying it, Morgan. You must see the smile on his face, Ex-Ranga. He looks like a little child on Christmas morning, where he's just gotten his present. Just missing your camo pants, exactly. Oh, how sweet, Morgan. All right, let's leave Treehouse Dam and carry on. Try and balance off this car again. There we go. Morgan, I recommend you get a t-shirt made of you saying I'm awesome with your face and a thumb up.
I've got a whole couple of them in Cape Town.
You've got them already in Cape Town? Ah, awesome. Okay. All right, so let's carry on. See, maybe we can whip out a last-minute leopard here somewhere. See if we get a little bit of luck as we head up towards home.
Here we are. We are on an expedition. This is the expeditionary force. Behind me, we have seen Tlalamba. We are very excited.
It's day one of the annual South African Guide of the Year competition, and our first foot into this competition this morning is all about tracks and signs.
We're going to call you in one at a time. Just look at it, the information will be there.
Our 5 guides have been tasked by the judges at figuring out who is what is who, and where they go in the bush.
Either Franklin or guinea fowl, but because of the volume of other deposits in the area, we went with guinea fowl.
Detailing the surrounding that you need to look out for tracks. The details is very important.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
So this actually might be a completely separate herd that started coming through. The others moved off into the drainage line and carried on going up away from the dam. And these ones are actually coming down in drips and drabs from the crest again. So I'm not sure if it's the same herd that's done a bit of a roundabout or if it's an entirely different part Maybe they're part of one super herd, but they're split into smaller herds over time and occasionally find each other again. You can hear quite a lot of noise and steps. Just to give you an idea of where they are, they're actually up on the opposite bank of the dam. You can see they're really sticking to that shaded patch. Compared to all of the other trees, they're quite bare. So it's very understandable that these elephants would want to be in the largest shade possible where there is still enough in terms of food. It looks like one or two are coming down to drink. Very, very similarly to that Ngala that's at the little pan. Maybe this is the same herd that's done a roundabout and decided it's finally time to come and drink. Because earlier on they did not come down to the water's edge at all. Definitely time to drink. So they're drinking again from the northernmost part of the dam, where it fills up from. Absolutely beautiful morning for elephants, mongooses and birds here, but I'm going to watch them for a little bit longer and just see where they go. But let's head over to Tristan to bring us home.
Well, I'm glad Tessa had a good first dam cam shift. It sounds like at least she had some animals, which is always a wonderful thing. And dam cam can be tricky if there's not much there, but when the ellies are coming in, it's really, really quite nice to have. There was a Birchall starling that was busy hopping away over that side. So yeah, it's now gone, I'm afraid, which is what happens when birds fly away. Morgan? So Morgan and I have decided that we're going to get t-shirts done soon so that I can wear it on drive that says Morgan is awesome, with a picture of his face. I'll wear it for the whole drive just so that you can all see that I don't hate Morgan and I don't bully him. I'll wear his Morgan is awesome shirt, no problem. There's a car in our way. Let me just move out the way here quickly. Well, not a car in our way, a car that's coming our way is what I was actually looking for. So I just want to move out the way to let them pass. They're busy fixing all the damage that's occurred at the various camps this morning. Anyway, it's that time of the day where we're going to start saying goodbye. Simon, thank you for joining us this morning.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for
It's a pleasure to have some company.
A pleasure to hear Morgan.
Yeah, I'm sorry that he talks so much. I know that your ears are bleeding now, but
it's better than the radio.
Exactly, much better than the radio. So I hope that you had a good time this morning. I know it was quiet. Unfortunately, it goes that way sometimes. Maybe we'll get lucky this afternoon. You are joining us again with Tessa. Someone will be with Tessa one more time.
We will see, yes.
Yeah, so hopefully you'll get Marips on that drive.
Maybe.
Maybe, exactly. Let's hope. It'll be a good thing if we do. But yeah, like I say, it's that time. We're going to be heading home, hopefully. Hopefully you had a good time with us this morning. I believe a lot of you enjoyed Morgan's antics. Of course, you know, I'm just the voice here. It's Morgan really that's the funny one, hence why we're going to get t-shirts made. Anyway, it's like I say, we're heading off. Hopefully you enjoyed it. From all of us, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you guys this afternoon on our sunset safari.